was kind of a Transformers fan growing up. I had the toys, I watched Beast Wars, but I don't remember much about it now. By the time the Michael Bay Transformers movies started coming out, I gave a couple of them a shot, and they weren't for me. And I've gone back, tried watching the 1980s cartoon, it wasn't for me. I've tried reading some of the IDW comic books from the last 15 years or so, some of them are really good. But after a while, I stopped reading. Since I'm not much of a Transformers fan, I think I was reading more out of obligation and less because I was enjoying the comics, although some of them really were quite good. I thought I would take a shot at what I would have liked to have seen in the Transformers movies. This isn't so much a fix of the existing movies, since nothing that happened in those movies will remain in what I have, but I thought it would be fun, so I hope you guys like it too. I'd set the first movie completely on Cybertron. Show a world that is more or less at peace but is on a collision course toward extinction. And there's a debate. Should we go looking for Energon to save our planet, even if it means the destruction of another world? You have some who believe this is the best course of action, while others think genocide of an entire species cannot be justified even to save Cybertron. Does this make the faction that we would come to know as the Autobots kinda unpopular on Cybertron, since they are setting out to stop the Decepticons from saving the Cybertronian population? Giving the bad guys real motivation could turn this from a goofy 2-hour toy commercial to a story that kids could love and adults could really get into also. Sorta like the X-Men. You're on the X-Men side, but you don't hate Magneto because you see where he's coming from. What starts as a friendly debate erupts into a full-on war as Megatron and Sentinel Prime cannot come to an understanding. Sentinel Prime is still the leader of Cybertron, so Megatron is branded an outlaw, despite many civilians believing he is right. This movie should be from the perspective of Optimus, young and unsure about what needs to be done. He was once Megatron's closest friend. That's not me trying to X-Men this thing up. I'm pretty sure one of the Michael Bay movies has Optimus call him brother. But it wasn't because of moral reasons he didn't follow Megatron. It was because of indecisiveness. His arc here would be learning that sometimes you have to make the hard choices. You can't be neutral here. Sentinel Prime dies at the end because of Optimus being frozen in fear, and he has to live with that as he picks up the spark of leadership for the Autobots. In the second movie, the war's been going on for a while. The Autobots have followed the Decepticons from world to world. The war is taking its toll on every planet in between here and Cybertron. Both parties make it to Earth, where the Decepticons realize the Energon is here, and this is where the Autobots must capture the Decepticons if they are to save this world. I don't care about humans in any Transformers story, but instead of the human ally being some high schooler, maybe it should be a soldier or a group of soldiers who would be more equipped to help the Autobots save Earth. The protagonist of this movie would be Drift, who in some of the Transformers comics I've read started as a Decepticon and eventually became an Autobot. We would follow this guy who was following Megatron, and not to get too topical, he sees how humanity destroys so much of Earth in pursuit of what they justify as a valid cause, and he sees how this isn't working for anybody. Even though the Decepticons might succeed in saving their world, the Cybertronians have let their war spill out into dozens of other star systems. There's no putting the cat back in the bag. What if their success and the demise of Earth brings other united star systems against the Cybertronians for their actions? Drift will eventually join the Autobots, and while Megatron still believes what they are doing is right, he's much less certain of it, now that he's up close to the species he plans to extinguish. Can you look a cow in the eye before turning it into a hamburger? Meanwhile, Starscream, who loyally followed Megatron until now, he's even more ready to do this. We're so close, look how long we've waited, let's take the Energon, kill the humans, and go back home to our families. But in the climax, Drift starts to talk some sense into Megatron. This will not solve anything, and as Megatron starts to see the error of his ways, he's killed by Starscream. Not because Starscream is power hungry, but because he wants this to be over, and if they all hug it out right now, their problems won't go away. They'll still have a dying planet they won't know how to save. This should be a heart-wrenching moment, because we've come to know this guy who just wants to save his world and his species, and now he's dying as he realizes he's been going about it all wrong. Something, the Autobots will die before they let Starscream do this. He calculates, says, okay, we'll leave, for now. Too many Cybertronians will die if we try to make our move now. So the Autobots decide, for now, they're staying on Earth, remaining vigilant for when Starscream will return. Movie 3, the bad guy will be Unicron, who I know next to nothing about, save that he's a planet-sized Transformer. Starscream and the Decepticons went into space to look for allies. It's possible some of their fellow Cybertronians feel differently and will help them take the Energon. Unfortunately, they arrive back home to find it's too late. Cybertron is a dead husk. None of their species are here. Did they die? Did they leave before this happened to the planet? We don't know. With Cybertron gone, there's nothing left to do but go back to Earth, take it from the humans and the Autobots by force, since that's the only livable planet for Cybertronians that they know of. Somehow, they come into contact with Unicron, possibly some ancient type of Cybertronian, I don't know. He offers his sympathies to the Decepticons for the loss of their planet, and says he will help them take their new planet. But Starscream doesn't know Unicron wants the Energon for himself. He's been absorbing Energon for centuries to keep himself alive, and when he finds out that's on Earth, he will double-cross the Decepticons and take it for himself. On Earth, the Autobots still wait for the Decepticons to return, and the humans, they're not comfortable with this. As far as the human governments are concerned, there's no difference between the Autobots and the Decepticons. They both came to Earth bringing their war to humanity, who was woefully unprepared for galactic conflict like this. And now the Autobots refuse to leave because of an element the humans haven't even heard of. Optimus says they're here to help, but Stanley Tucci isn't buying it. So the human governments, they have Megatron's body, and they are experimenting on it to try to create a Cybertronian answerable to them, to protect them from other Cybertronians in the likely event of more of the big robot war coming to their planet. In the 1980s animated movie, Megatron was reborn as Galvatron and was a servant of Unicron. But here, Galvatron will have some of his memories, but not all. This suits the Tooth just fine, as a fully aware Megatron is not what they want. This movie would be more of an ensemble than the previous two, but the closest thing to a protagonist would be Galvatron, piecing together his former life and atoning for what he did, probably helping lead a team of joint Autobots and Decepticons against Unicron once his betrayal becomes apparent. Galvatron and Optimus both have a heroic sacrifice, destroying Unicron, at which point what's left of the Decepticons will tell the Autobots that Cybertron is gone. This war is over, there's nothing left to fight for. From here, there are no more Autobots or Decepticons, just Cybertronians. Some of them want to stay on Earth, and the Tooth, he sees that, yeah, if there are more planet-sized monstrosities out there, maybe it would be a good idea if you guys stayed here and protected us. Some of them, they want to leave, find an empty planet to call their home. They're tired of this war, they don't want to keep going, so if it's inhabited, it's a no-go. And that's it. I don't know enough about the Transformers to know what else you could do if you wanted to keep going, but my goal was to do something different with each movie while still making it feel like a progression of the same story. From here, you could do spin-off movies with the group going out to find a new world, running into obstacles along the way, and you could find something for the Earth Transformers to do, though like I said, I don't know what that could be. That's all I have here. I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, check me out next week and I'll be talking about something different. Until next time, have a good one.